What up, is Marcus Dynasty Football Dads? We have the wide receivers and tight ends. We're going to be talking a little bit about their combine results, and then we're going to be actually going through a mock Superflex draft tomorrow. Friday, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be doing quite yet, but we're going to be doing something. So let's just start through some of the wide receivers. There is going to be a common theme with this draft class, minus one or two players. And the common theme is going to be undersized, very quick, kind of more of a slot type of wide receiver. You're going to get a lot of wide receivers that are under 6 feet tall and under 190 pounds. And we're going to go through some of them, but Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's actually 6'1", he's 196. He didn't run the 40, but he ran the 3-cone drill in 6.57, and he looked great running those drills. I love JSN. He's by far my number one wide receiver right now. And I look at Chris Olave, I look at Garrett Wilson, and I see both of them being successful NFL players. Jackson Smith-Njigba was the better wide receiver, the best wide receiver on Ohio State's roster, even with those two players that were older at the time than Jackson Smith-Njigba. And I feel like Ohio State, it just keeps getting better and better because even next year you're going to have Marvin Harrison. And so he's even going to be better than Jackson Smith-Njigba. Really, you could have theoretically 3 straight Ohio State receivers because I wanted Garrett Wilson. He's my number one receiver last year, and then now you have JSN. And then next year, Marvin Harrison. It's just going to be over and over and over again. Ohio State wide receivers. I don't know what's going to happen in 2025. We'll find out. But 3-cone drill was excellent. Ran really, really, really solid routes in his training. He looks, and the tape says it as well, just with a little bit of an injury. But I mean, he looks like one of the safest prospects in this draft class, and I love it. 6'1", 196. He's got the size compared to even some of the other wide receivers in this draft class. So let's talk about some of the wide receivers that are going to be undersized. Zay Flowers, there was some huge concern that he might even not tip the scale at 170, but he was 5'9", 182, so he's a winner, definitely hitting 182, and there were some pictures, before and after pictures on Twitter on like what his size gained up on, and so 5'9", 182, ran a 4.42, so a lot of these wide receivers are going to have that 4.4 to 4.49, and so 4.42, again, right in there. Zay Flowers is a good overall wide receiver. I like him. I think he's going to be probably into that early second, maybe late first, depending where his landing spot goes. He's going to be that second tier of wide receivers, or the tier behind likely Quentin Johnston and Jordan Addison, which we'll be talking about very shortly. And the next one is Josh Downs. He's going to be in that exact same tier, 5'9", 171, which is a little light, but again, we can't be weightist. like ageism or sexism, you can't be weightist because we've seen Devontae Smith. I know that he was an excellent wide receiver. I mean, you're talking about Heisman type of a wide receiver when he was at Alabama, but still, you have a lot more wide receivers that are going to be smaller, slimmer in today's NFL because you're trying to open up and you're trying to have speed. Ran a 4.448, which is decent. Like, again, nothing crazy great, but Josh Downs is a really good, I think, route runner, and he does have some separation in his game. So I like Josh Downs. And then Jordan Addison, my number 2 wide receiver in this draft class, 5'11", 173. Again, light. But, I mean, somebody's got to teach these guys how to eat some food. Maybe I can teach them how to eat some food. But 4.49, what we thought he was going to measure in. That's exactly, I mean, he's my wide receiver number 2. I'm very interested to see where he goes. But right now, then we have Quentin Johnston. I mean, he measured in at 6'3". I thought maybe he might have been a 6'4", but so he's an inch shorter than we thought. Nothing amazing there. Let's go through some tight ends here before tomorrow's draft, Superflex draft. Michael Mayer, 4.7. That's exactly where we thought. TJ Hawkinson Light. That's what I'm going to call him, TJ Light. So TJ Light, 4.7. He's going to be at that end of the first, early second. Depends if you want that running back or that wide receiver, or if you're just going to go kind of off the board with the tight end here, Michael Mayer. He's the best tight end of the draft class, and I don't think that's going to change depending on draft capital and landing spot. I think he will be the highest drafted, and I think landing spot will be almost irrelevant at that point unless he goes to somewhere horrible like Atlanta, or if he goes to I'm trying to think what other team I almost wouldn't. If he goes to Minnesota, like I don't think that would happen. But I mean, again, like there's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 spots. But besides that, I think that he's pretty safe. Luke Musgrave, a guy from Oregon State that I actually have been moving slowly up the boards. He's 6'6", over 250 pounds, ran a 4.6140. I like Luke Musgrave. I really do. I think that I think he's an intriguing prospect, kind of like Greg Dulcich was last year, like Bellinger was last year. I think he's going to be kind of in that sphere. And we have two other guys that might kind of sneak into that sphere as well, that are a little bit taller, bigger guys. But this is where, if you're into that end of the second, early third, I love kind of snagging some of these tight ends. And Luke Musgrave, if he falls to that area, being 6'6", I love doing that. There's a couple tight ends last year that I did the exact same thing of. I just kind of plucked as many of them as I possibly could, whether it was Trey McBride, whether it was Greg Dulcich, whether it was Bellinger. I just kind of took them all, a little bit of everything. And then sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't, but you got to go after it. And so the next two tight ends are intriguing prospects because of their size and their ability to move. It's Darnell Washington, 6'7", 264 pounds, ran a 4.6440, and also had an amazing catch at the combine. And that was one of his biggest questions, was his hands. So Darnell Washington, again, out of Georgia, 6'7", 264. You can't teach that type of size. And again, a worthy prospect. We'll see where he ends up going, what team if he ends up going to, I'm trying to even think of a team that right off the back, like Washington or something. If he goes to a team or a Seattle that might need a tight end, he would be a very intriguing prospect again in the end of second, probably more early third for his case. And the next one is Zach Kuntz. He had a 10 out of 10 RAS score, relative athletics score, and so that was number one in the last 10 years, and I don't know why Kyle Pitts isn't not number one, which is my first question, but it was a tweet, and I saw it, and I copied it and plagiarized it. So 6'7", 255 pounds. The only thing is his weight was a little light, but he ran a 4.5540. And so 6'7", you again can't teach that type of size, and so another again intriguing prospect that we'll see where he lands, what kind of draft capital he gets, and then we'll go from there. Right? That's all we can do. All right. So again, we're going to be going through a Superflex mock tomorrow. So stay tuned. Peace out. Take care. And we'll see you tomorrow.